I think in the coming years, the American comic book industry is in trouble. Let's just say that they've been in trouble. But I think that the recovery is going to be especially difficult, and it's going to be because of a self-imposed wound. Let's call it that. I want to expand on this. I did a video not too long ago discussing this very, very, very topic. If you watch my videos back when I used to do reviews, I used to discuss this a lot. And obviously in the late 2000s going into 2010s, there was a big boom, not necessarily in print media with the comics, but with normie attention on comic book related stuff. It was because of the growth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that drove a lot of that. But you had more eyes on comic book related material than you ever had. Now, ironically enough, they could not get that to translate into sales, and it's, again, their own doing. But all they had to do, it was easy. It was a layup. And I'm talking about the Marvels, the DCs, which, we know they're tied to mega corporations. But the easy thing to do was to look at that and say, okay, this is the end thing. It's not going to be the end thing forever, but it's the end thing. Now, they stumbled across this, the audience, the normie audience stumbled, and I'm not using that as an insulting term. I'm using that because most people are normies. When you get like something that has just a mass audience like that, a lot of the folks aren't diehard viewers of that genre, or customers of that genre. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. What I'm saying is that, that attention, they move thing to thing, right? It may change decade to decade, whatever it is. And all the comic book guys had to do was say, all right, well, we're just going to do, now that we have eyes on it, do what we had before. Try to turn some of those normies into diehards by doing what made us great. But that's not what the comic book industry did. That's not even what they did with the movies and stuff, where they pivoted away from, you see with that recent phase with Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they was at a point to where they could crap $1 billion movie, and now normies are starting to, again, kind of fade out of the focus, and you're going to be left with ashes is what the comic book industry is going to do. But that's their own doing. And they did it to themselves, trying to modernize everything. And, you had all these people who were writers, probably seemed like they were screenwriters trying to get in the comic book industry to get their stuff adapted in the big screen, right? So you didn't have actual comic book guys. Hell, a lot of the actual comic book guys got kicked out, catering to people that probably had no business being anywhere near these characters. They're not knowledgeable on that material. So you started to try to change your content for the sake of appeasing the normie, which is a grave mistake that so many industries have made in the past. And the comic book industry is just, it's a little personal to me, but it's the latest that fell into that trap, walking around like they stuff don't stink, thinking that this was going to last forever. And now the decline's happening. And it's happening all across the board. It's happening in print media. It's happening with manga destroying them, so it's happening in the movie related stuff where, a movie like Guardians, we're talking about may break even. It is discussion that we're having because they can't do that. That pizzazz that they had is gone. It's because they've lost a lot of the normie audience. Where what they could have done, been in a position to scale back, right? Because you're not like you've done anything to appease diehards. Yeah, you've got those guys who are like, oh, my hobby that I love so much is now has all these attention. So when they get now it's the cool thing, and this is the closest that any of these guys have ever been to the cool thing. So when the normies infiltrate and hijack it momentarily, they go along for the show. But a lot of guys, they get into something else. Maybe they're getting into manga. Maybe they're only exclusively reading back issues. And now what? What do you got? You got what should have been a thriving industry. Even if it slowed down, it shouldn't have stopped. A lot of those normies should have been turned into diehards. But you couldn't take advantage of it because you didn't take your project serious enough. You didn't take the brand serious enough. Everything, it's a different universe. Who cares if this character's completely different? This is why a manga I make this point all the time. The Japanese got it right. Manga sells the anime sells the manga. Why do you think that relationship does not exist with DC's animated movie, movies or shows, Marvel's animated movies or shows, or Marvel or DC's live action stuff? Why do you think that relationship doesn't exist? Because the character, it's not a one by. They don't even attempt to do a one by one, and I don't think they even have to do that. Just get somewhat close. No, you're seeing characters that are only them in name. So what incentive do you have to go read something like that? Okay, like you get a slight uptick. And that's what the Marvel Cinematic Universe did very well early on. Because, yeah, there were deviations, and I had a lot of problems with their deviations, but at least they were pulling from source material. They were trying to. A lot of the main core conflicts, they had changes to them, and a lot of them were unnecessary, but they were pulling from source material-based stuff. Whether it be Ultron, whether it be with even the Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War arc, whatever you want to call it. Like all of that stuff was rehashing what had already been done. Comic book based stuff, source material based stuff is layup. It's the easiest stuff, but unfortunately, when you get involved with Hollywood, everybody is a narcissist. It's like egotistical. It's like it's a prerequisite to be a part of that industry. So everybody wants to put their own little flavor to it. So they don't have... they don't want to, like, it's not about, hey, I want to do the best version of this character that can come to screen, that can, people that are familiar with them can get something out of it. And in turn, that would then incentivize people to go buy books. It's a layup. There's no relationship, not there. So now we're going to be going to decline. We're already seeing the decline. And it's effectively this is what's happening. They're going to burn this junk down, okay? And folks like ourselves that are comic book lifers who are still going to be into this stuff when they might move to the next thing, whatever. I don't know what next type of genre that's going to be the cool thing, but they'll move to that thing. And we're going to be left with the ashes trying to build something. And it didn't have to be ashes really at all. It could have just been something that, yeah, they moved on to something else, but it still was thriving. The grave mistake was instead of making material for normies, which you never do, you make material for the people that are going to be the general customer, showing interest in the product, not the flaky guys. Because they're inconsistent, they're unreliable, they'll be in, they'll be out, and they're gone. Whereas to the guys that are actually showing genuine interest for your product, if you're making it with those guys in mind, at least you'll have a core customer base that will be around for years to come. And when you had all the eyes, what you should have been thinking was converting those people, which means not trying to necessarily reinvent the wheel. They came here organically. Just continue to try to be great. Not what you did. And you're getting what you deserve because of it. If you enjoyed this video and want to support other content, please become a member at ericdjuly.com. This is my own unique platform that replaced my Patreon. Our Ultramax, which is our highest tier, gets free shipping domestically even with Rippaverse orders and are able to redeem the Creators Edition copy of ISOM #1. You can move up and down tiers or cancel at any time. Also visit Rippaverse.com. This is my comic book company that launched a $3.7 million campaign. We appreciate your support.